Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Talking Dead. I know it's been a while, but as always, this podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/TTD, which is our clever way of knowing that it's The Talking Dead. At Audible.com, you can get over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Take it away, Jason.
See, you did well. You did well. You still have it in your blood.
Yeah, right.
It is now December 15th, if the day hasn't changed, but it's still December 15th, 2012. And this is The Talking Dead. Zombie Popcorn's Talking Dead. And it's been forever. Bob mentioned that.
It has been forever.
It has been.
When was the last time we did a show? It was September 15th or something like that. It was beginning of September.
Yeah. And I never thought this would happen this fast, but from September to December, things have changed. Paul got a sex change and changed his name to Rachel. I was shocked that they could do that so fast.
I heal quickly.
Yeah.
It's an in and out procedure.
That was it's like outpatients.
Right.
But yeah, no, we have a new co-host. Miss Rachel Moss is now with us. So introduce yourself. Say hello to the crew.
Hello.
Listeners.
My name is Rachel. I live in California.
Is that where we're at now, California?
We are now in California.
Holy shit.
You guys are so new. I just want to make sure you remember where you are.
He's only had
one
bottle.
It does feel like another planet. I'll give you that.
It does feel like a whole other
It really
planet.
does. Because you're not originally from here.
No, Indiana.
So this is...
So another universe. I mean, we're not even talking planets. But yeah, I love it here. I've been here about a year and a half. And I'm super excited to be on the show.
And you love horror movies?
I do.
What lies did Jason tell you to get you here?
But we need to make
Probably
it
all of
clear.
them.
We need to make it clear
All
she
of them.
came free will.
I was not coerced.
Yes. Which we're shocked that
Yeah.
we now had maybe 2 listeners. We don't even know if she listened to the show before. I just know. Here's the story. This is what got her suckered into doing the show. Like it was maybe like the first or second time that we saw each other and met. You said thanks for the recommendation for the Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
And I said, awesome. You want to come on the show? And she went, no.
That was all it took.
That was a good movie, Cabin in the Woods.
It was
So
really
good.
good. And then she said no, and I was like, no, we're going to make this happen. And then she's finally said yes. So.
Yeah. I do think it's crazy that there's like this, like, I don't know if anybody watching is like adding 2 and 2 together. They're like, wait, Jason moved to California. And then why did Bob move to California?
Bob is not via Skype.
We're, yeah, I know, right. Like, I'm here with you. And, yeah, it's just weird circumstance that gets you to where you're at. And so now I can introduce Jason as like my hetero life partner.
It's true.
Nice.
And he does it often. We went, what was it, the first week that y'all were here, we went into the baby store together.
We did, yeah.
And the lady very nicely asked, is this for a child or a dog? Looking at us.
Yeah, we bought a baby gate. And
Yeah.
she asked if it was for a kid or a dog. And I appreciate, like, just asking her.
Well, it wouldn't have been so awkward if Bob didn't slap me on the ass and said, for a dog.
He is a dog. He is a dog.
So, yeah, no, we uprooted from Virginia. Now we live in the San Francisco Bay Area. To be precise, San Rafael, California is where we live. And I actually love it here.
Yeah. I miss Paul a little bit.
Paul will be back on the show. I've been talking to him. He is headlining his first show this month.
Yeah, I noticed, like, when he stopped, like, hanging out with us jokers, he actually, like, moved forward in his professional career. He has albums coming out and concerts, and he's actually doing stuff. Which, it's great. It's good for him because he's talented. He's a
But it
talented
only
guy.
happened because of us.
Yeah.
Is that one interview we did with one person? I don't know. We interviewed somebody.
It was that person at that time
person.
at that place.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. So we're here. I actually love it here. We went to San Quentin today, because they have a gift shop and a hobby craft store where the prisoners create the stuff that's sold in the store, and
There's like license plates and
yeah. No, they're actually paintings. There's one. It's a snow scene with bison out in the field, and they have all types of stuff like crafts.
like I don't want a painting that's painted by an inmate, because anybody can paint a painting, right? But you want something that's like indicative of just someone who is off their nut and has nothing but time on their hands. Like
That's San Quentin. Is that not San Quentin?
Like Eiffel Tower carved out of individually signed grains of rice. You know what I mean? Like each, like something that's just so crazy. Like nobody could do that and like have a life. All they have is like time.
I was just kind of hoping for a shank.
Yeah, right.
But we found out
Of rice, you know what I mean? Like each, like something that's just so crazy. Like nobody could do that and like have a life. All they have is like time.
I was just kind of hoping for a shank.
Yeah, right.
But we found out that there's a museum inside the prison, but you have to get an appointment to go into the prison to see the museum. You have to actually talk to the warden. So we're going to try to do that, and go inside, because that would be awesome. But you say you want something created by somebody who's off their nut and has nothing but time on their hand. That's San Quentin. They're in prison. They're in there because they're off their nut.
Yeah, but I mean, like
San Quentin is where all the people who are on death row go to get executed.
anybody can paint a painting, right? Anybody can paint a painting, but someone with massive amounts of time on their hands can do something that's like this is what a person with nothing but time does.
So you're saying you want something from Charlie Manson, or which he's no longer there, but.
Did you ever go to where were we at? I think we were in Washington in the Smithsonian, where they had like the one dude's like this like shrine that he made out of cardboard tubes and tin foil, and it was just massive, and it was so like ornate and detailed. So much time went into it, right? That's what a crazy person does. And I think having that much time on your hand, like, maybe makes you a little crazy. I don't know.
Maybe you just go to Fairfax, because there's
or like a scale model of the Golden Gate Bridge made out of like matchsticks, or like something, right? Something like like something you have to work on for like 15 years running for 8-12 hours a day. That's what I want.
When you're locked in yourself for 23 hours a day, I mean...
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I want to see in the gift shop, not just a painting. You can crank out a painting in 15 minutes. I want something that's indicative of
Mental
thousands of man hours done by one person.
Well, what if the story behind the painting was every stroke was dedicated to the victim?
Right. If I was told like every stroke was made with like a brush with one human hair, right? That I could be into.
I think
that would be something.
Speaking of,
you're right. Yeah.
I don't know what we should talk about first, because we are so far behind since we haven't done a show. Whether we should talk about stuff that's about that happened just recently, or talk about stuff to catch us up.
Just keep it current.
Then we don't have a show.
Yeah. No, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. Come on, The Hobbit opens this weekend.
It opened yesterday.
That's the big movie. I think that's got to be the movie on everybody's radar.
No, she's not going to see it. Rachel is not going to go see the movie.
Why?
I didn't care for Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry.
Yes.
No. That's okay. It's all right. It's okay to not like it. I understand. Right? Not can't be everything to all people. I understand that, but I love those movies.
I didn't hate them. I just wasn't crazy about them like some people.
Okay, wait. To balance the oh my god on your side, what do you think of 3D?
I do love 3D.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I thought she was going to say she hated it because everybody else says they hate it.
Yeah. All right. So would you go see a movie that sucks just because it's in 3D?
No.
What?
Aha.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Get out. Damn it. Speaking of going to see a 3D movie, we're not going to be able to see it in high frame rate.
Yeah, I know. That's sort of. I was. I kind of wanted to have seen it already, and I'm waiting because I've seen a lot of talk. A lot of critics are bouncing around about the high frame rate experience, and I haven't read too much about it, because I don't want to sort of spoil the movie or you know, like I kind of want to go in unbiased.
Because you don't know what happens. What?
Well, you know, I was thinking about something that you said too. That you know, and a lot of people are comparing it to Avatar, which is something that you did as well. Is that it raises the bar? It's kind of a game changer as far as the technology that's involved with movies. But one of the criticisms is that it's so good that it makes things in the movie look cheap and prop-like. Like in some scenes, apparently, and this is just sort of me glossing over it a little bit, but they're saying that like there's some scenes where you can tell that they're using rubber swords and fake armor because the picture is so good.
No, I think who comments like that are anal retentive, and they're just doing it so they can get people to talk about whatever they write about. The reviewers.
No, I think that they're perfectly valid. And here's the thing.
There's no way, because you know how much time. I mean, it's legendary. They have documentaries about how much time and detail is put into the prop making. And if there is a scene in there where Peter Jackson's looking at it and saying, "Oh, that's obviously plastic," or no, there's too much money and time invested. And too much writing online for this to have a B movie effect into it, where you can tell that
I don't think that they're doing B movie effects, and
I'm not saying they are.
In that it's that the visual quality is so good that even given the high standards of the Weta Workshop, that you can still tell that these are props, right? Because for so long, movies have lived in this world where, you know, that they build things, they build sets, and they build props and stuff, and they only have to look good enough for film. I mean, that's something that they do all the time. I had a stepdad that worked on film sets for Screen Gems, and you know, he didn't really like it because he's a bit of a perfectionist, and he didn't like that culture where it only had to be good enough, and so so having said all of that, that may be a very valid criticism for the high frame rate look for The Hobbit. But what that means is that moving forward, prop departments are just going to have to step up there's not going to be just a good enough. They're going to have to be top notch. That's where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think it's a weak criticism, and it's hard for us both to argue this just because we haven't seen it. But I will put money on the table that when we go see it, realistically, that we're not going to have that problem with the movie.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, right. I haven't seen it yet, and it may be an unfair criticism, but you know, somebody with a discerning eye, you know, may be able to look at something and say, like, that armor's. I do that every once in a while. Like every once in a while, when you watch one of those, you know, sort of sword and fantasy movies, I'm like, that guy's not really wearing armor. That's a wool coat that's spray painted silver, made to look like.
But
armor.
you and people who do that are a very small percentage of movie viewing audience, because they are the joke of like the Simpsons make, and you know, stuff like that. People like
worst
that.
armor ever.
Yeah, I mean that's like the 1% of moviegoers. It's not the 99% of the people who go in there are gonna go, I was blown away with it. And,
okay, all right,
and there's no way that you're gonna tell me that soap operas on TV have better prop setup than The Hobbit. I mean, they both are.
They
in
don't.
high frame
Everything
rate.
about a soap opera looks fake.
Don't talk about soap.
I love watching soap operas when they see the guy like walk through and they shut the door and like the whole wall shakes.
It's awesome. But anyway,
well, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Isn't there a theater showing the high frame rate version somewhere near here?
Dublin, Virginia is the closest one. We drove by it on our field
Dublin,
trip.
California.
What did I say?
Virginia.
Fuck! I'm still in Virginia. California. I don't know where I'm at.
Well, that's not that far away. You guys should take a cute.
I would
little
totally make that
road
drive.
trip.
We have to reschedule our lives because unlike where we used to live, which was Virginia, we are now in California. We didn't have to fight such large number of people going to a venue.
Yeah, we had
we had an IMAX across the tunnel. Nobody ever went. We would go opening nights to big movies like Avatar, and there'd be like 20, 25 people in the theater. And so it's going to be weird to go into a theater and have to stand in line.
Yeah, I know, right? That was there was the I always like going to see premieres at Regal because it was like an 18 screen, multiplex, but all the theaters were really big. It had all stadium seating, and they would just add shows because they had 18 screens, and you never had to wait in the line for anything.
Yeah. It's going to be different.
I hate waiting in lines.
Damn you, California. I still love you. So, anything else about The Hobbit?
Nah, I'm just curious to see how it turns out. I mean,
have you seen the numbers? I mean, it's
I haven't looked at
only
any
the
of the
second
numbers.
day.
Oh my
that
god, I
it's
bet
been
it was going to do huge though. It's got to be big.
Because this is only the second night that it's out.
So, all right. So back to the Lord of the Rings, the whole Hobbit, Lord of the Rings thing. Did you read the books? Was it like a beloved book for you? In your life, because it was for me, man. That's a book I've read dozens of times. I've read it several times. I'm thinking about picking it up again because I'll be all juiced up over it after seeing the movie. So that's like I said, that's fair. If it's not, if it doesn't have that place in your heart, I'm sure.
The way you sound like you are about Lord of the Rings is how I feel about Harry Potter. So I understand your obsession.
We're just talking about the movies, not the books of each.
Right.
That makes sense because of the age gap. I mean, that makes sense because kids now don't like Star Wars or like the original Star Wars.
Yeah, I like the Harry Potter books. I was really impressed with them. I thought that Rowling would be like just some kind of hack that I don't know, just stumbled on a good idea, and they weren't. They were really well written, and I thought that she did this thing, and I don't know if it was like planning on her part.
It was the Mormonism.
Or she's not a Mormon. It's the Twilight lady.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Damn, I get them all mixed up.
Oh no.
Yeah, I just did it.
But I remember reading the books, and as you went further along in the story, it seemed to reflect back on elements that seemed entirely inconsequential in the first book that had big ramifications moving forward. I don't know if that was by design or by accident, or I don't know how she did it, but I thought that was one of the most impressive aspects of it.
Yeah, those books are so well written. The storyline is just fantastic, and they translated really well into film, I thought.
Yeah. All right, so having said all that, did you see the Daniel Radcliffe horror movie that he did after Woman in Black?
I don't do ghosts. That's the one thing I don't
that movie
do.
was really good.
It was really good. It was
Yeah.
it was a legitimately scary ghost story.
That was the last movie Paul and I watched together before we moved out.
And Radcliffe does really good. And in fact, he's so good in it is that I thought watching it, I'd be like, oh, it's Harry Potter and a ghost story, big deal, right?
Right.
But no, he was really good. He's a really talented guy. He's actually very good. I think he can make the transition, that
From the pigeonholed and
right.
Harry Potter.
Like you look at the Star Wars movies, right? Carrie Fisher, kind of. Harrison Ford, certainly, he made it out of Star Wars. Mark Hamill, not at all. Mark Hamill, he has a very good career now, but he does voice work. You don't actually see him, right? He's the voice of the Joker and stuff like that. But his movie career didn't really go anywhere. I think he did like one sci-fi movie.
But did he try to push it? I mean, because we don't know the backstory. At least I don't. Did he try to pursue that, or did he just really want to step back and do behind the scenes?
I don't know. That's a good question. And it's a lot of an actor's career hinges on choices that they make, like what roles they pick. And so after Star Wars, Mark Hamill did like this really cheesy B-budget sci-fi movie. I remember it was something about like they were flying around on these gliders and cliffs. It was something about flying around on these wind currents in like this post-apocalyptic world. And did you like the pops on that post-apocalyptic?
Yes, I did actually get that.
And it was horrible. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen it, and I don't remember a whole lot about it. I just remember, even my, 15-year-old self was like, "This is cheesy."
I mean, you say that, but they could. I think I guess with the right work and direction, people can get out of that. I mean, look at Magneto. Look at Lord of the Rings. Look at Ian
McKellen.
Look at Christopher Lee.
He was an Academy he was an Academy nominated actor before Lord of the Rings. It's not like this was his first rodeo.
Okay, look at William Shatner.
Yeah,
just
right.
look at him. That's it. No more.
Yeah, so I don't think McKellen's a fair comparison.
Okay, fine.
In fact, that's one of the things that I thought that Peter Jackson did really well in his casting choices for some of the key roles is that he had sort of established actors. Ian McKellen is great as Gandalf. I thought, or at least I thought he was. And the guy that plays Bilbo now, what is his name? He's in the Sherlock show. His name escapes me. And Bilbo before in the first movies, that was another guy whose name I can't remember. Oh God, I'm awful at this game. But anyway, they bring a lot to the role, right? I mean, they didn't have to do it; they took a chance, and I thought it paid off.
I still think if what we're applying to Mark Hamill is true, that he just couldn't do it because he was typecast so heavily in Star Wars. I honestly don't think it was true. I think he may have made the choice to take the back road of everything.
Maybe, maybe so, but I don't know. He certainly didn't have
Brendan Fraser. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he certainly didn't have the career that Harrison Ford had.
But I mean, he pulled himself out. He's done everything. Mm-hmm. And most of them been LucasArts projects. But.
Well, not every. I mean, yeah. I think wasn't his first movie American Graffiti?
Yeah.
And then he did Star Wars. And Carrie Fisher was a relatively unknown actress then too, right? Yeah. She came right out of acting school. Yeah.
So I think they could have done it. I think they just made the choice of hanging on to certain things. I don't know.
So Daniel Radcliffe,
because they're not drug addicts. It's not It's
not, Carrie Fisher was.
Well, yeah. What I'm saying, it's not like the Breakfast Club crew. Where they all. That's all you just known about is that they were always in trouble. And it wasn't until Iron Man that one of them pulled themselves out of that little crew.
Who are you talking about? Robert Downey Jr.? Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. was he was one of the only Brat Pack to really have a successful film career. Emilio Estevez, he didn't really do anything. He did crappy comedies, right? Mighty Ducks, if you count that. Which, all right, don't get me wrong, I love the Mighty Ducks, but still. And
do you really love the Mighty Ducks?
Molly Ringwald didn't go anywhere.
Well, she had some real big hits back then, but
she did. When she was in the Brat Pack, right? Yeah. When they were the Brat Pack, they were pretty much set up, and I think the only one that lived beyond the Brat Pack was Robert Downey Jr. But Emilio Estevez didn't go anywhere, and Molly Ringwald certainly not. Judd Nelson, he was in like a sitcom in the '80s with Brooke Shields.
Doesn't his brother do the TV series Cheaters?
Yeah. Who else was in the Brat Pack? Ali Sheedy? Nowhere. No. Not that they haven't done a good movie since then. But Anthony Michael Hall, he didn't really he was certainly typecast.
He has been in wasn't he in that show where he's dead? What do you remember?
Well,
that?
he was in a TV version of The Dead Zone, which was based on that Stephen King novel. And
he was really good in that.
He was really, but that was sort of the only thing he's done of note since then.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So he did Edward Scissorhands, and that was my one problem with that movie, guys. I love that movie. I love that, sort of like 80s, it was 90s Tim Burton. Yeah. 90s Tim Burton.
But it had Vincent Price. That's all that matters.
And I loved Edward Scissorhands. It's just that Anthony Michael Hall as the jockey tough boyfriend didn't do it. I couldn't buy that in the movie because prior to that he was always the nerdy kid.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Or Rusty in National.
What about the guy who was in What about the guy that was in Real Genius?
That's Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, yeah.
Yeah, Val Kilmer got fat and crazy.
It's so creepy now.
Yeah, he really is. He's in I saw him in an ad in an airport once. I'm trying to remember what it was.
So I heard a funny story about Val Kilmer when goes back a few years, but one of the guys that I worked with at the video store was friends with a guy who would go down and do some photography work for the New Orleans Jazz Festival, and when it was like just post Katrina.
Stop saying peas.
Yeah. they were filming the Werner Herzog movie. Was it Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans with Nicolas Cage? That guy said there's some story I heard, and this is all secondhand, but it's some story he heard where the guy he heard some commotion, and he looks at his hotel room, and he sees like a naked Val Kilmer running down the street with police chasing him.
And we were not invited. Very sad.
Yeah, I know. I totally missed that. Anyway, yeah, Val Kilmer, fat and crazy.
I don't know how we got on the fat and crazy Val Kilmer story, but going back, since we were talking about characters of Star Wars, what do you think? This happened a while back, and we just haven't had a show to talk about it, and I really want to talk about it because one of the main reasons I want to talk about it is because in previous episodes of this show, Bob and I went back and forth about Star Wars, and he will not... Well, let me fill you in for the listeners who don't know, and for you. I have not seen any of the new Star Wars because I knew back before they even started that they were going to convert them in 3D, so I was just waiting to see that. And he's made a vow that he will never give George Lucas his money because he's been ripped off too many times by the Star Wars franchise. Now, with that said, Disney now has the rights to Star Wars, and they're coming out with a new episode. And since it's not the LucasArts franchise, where this film won't be, it will be in the Disney franchise, will you see it?
Yeah, maybe.
Conviction.
Yeah. All right, so I still will not give George Lucas any of my money.
But you stole a George Lucas box. Wait, we have to back up. Where we live now is in the heart, or at least the armpit of Industrial Light and Magic, LucasArts, where they filmed some of the scenes from Star Wars around here. Actually, down the street is Industrial Light and Magic, where they've done a lot of the sound work. I mean, pretty much a stone throw from where we are now.
It's not Skywalker Sound. That's somewhere else.
Yeah, that's somewhere else. This is Industrial Light and Magic. But they did a lot of the sound work for Star Wars here, and we can seriously walk outside and throw a rock and hit the building that all that was in. So we're in the heart of that, and Bob says he's not going to give money to George Lucas or affiliates of George Lucas in that sense. But their first week here, you want to tell this story? Or you want me to tell this story?
That's right. Go ahead. You're doing fine.
They find a crate on the side of the road. You were either biking or walking. Just walking around. They find a crate that had the stamp of Industrial Light and Sound on
Industrial Light and Magic.
Magic, yeah, on the sign of it, and they kept it.
Yeah. I figured the least George Lucas owes me is a box. Yeah. Sadly, we don't have it anymore. It got left out in the rain, and then I left it out to dry, and then it kept raining, so it kept staying outside, and then at our apartment, somebody chucked it, so I don't have it anymore.
George Lucas made it rain.
He did. He did. All right, so I'm a little conflicted about George Lucas, too, because he sold the Star Wars franchise for a lot of money. He sold. I mean, Disney bought it.
He made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, Disney bought it not for cheap, right? But he took all of that money and gave it to some good cause. Like he donated all of that money to some worthy cause. Like he didn't keep that cash. He donated it all.
Well, that's the other thing that we were talking about in the show was that where his home is, where he's building add-ons to, so he can have theaters and stuff, and they can do work around his home. The city council and the neighborhood watch, or not neighborhood watch, the neighborhood council has been fighting him and don't want him to expand. He's like, well, okay, fine, you want to do that? We're going to bring in sections, low-income housing in here, and that's awesome because he lives in a very wealthy area, and
they are not happy.
No, they are not. They are really pissed. But he's just like, fuck you.
No, I like that George Lucas sort of has turned his attention to philanthropic pursuits.
Yeah.
So, that's great. Like I said, now it's kind of hard to hate the guy for it.
Well, you know what? Who's the bad guy now? Because if you would have gave him your money, that money could have gone to help.
Yeah, I know. Shush.
But you did.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time.
But that's what giving's about.
I actually think that the House of Mouse buying Star Wars is a good thing.
Really?
Because they will bring in creative talent and they'll kind of stay out of it. Because I know, hey, we're going to disagree on this, but I love the Avengers, right? Marvel Studios is owned by Disney. And I love what Marvel's doing. And Disney is just like, here's a bunch of money. Just go make a movie, do what your thing is, and we'll stay out of your way. And that's how they should approach Star Wars. Because there's a lot of talent out there, a lot of people with stories to tell, a lot of creative individuals who can, make that happen. And as long as George Lucas isn't there going, well, I think the alien should maybe be a bug who flies around and talks in there,
Okay, before we go on to the next section of the Star Wars, what do you think of the Disney taking over Star Wars?
Well, they can't make anything worse than the last 3 that came out. So
you were not a fan of the last 3?
I hate them. I like the original 3. I think they're really good.
Yeah.
But no, the new ones, I actually fell asleep in the theater.
Really?
During Attack of the Clones. Yeah, that's really hard to do.
Were you drunk, high, or intoxicated in any other way?
None of the above.
And you just fell asleep?
I was only like 15. I wasn't very old.
So were you drunk, high, or? Well, all right. I think it could go either way because what Disney is doing with Tron Uprising, the animated series on Disney XD, it's fucking phenomenal. Have y'all seen that yet? Have y'all watched it? They took it off the air for a while and it's back now, but you can watch the episodes on Disney XD's site, and you can watch them other places. It's really, because I'm a Tron freak, but it's really good. I really enjoy it.
See, I like Tron too. I mean, I think that they're approaching that the right way. I like when these sort of things are turned into franchises or expanded to a franchise size project, and it's not a reboot, a retool, a relaunch. I like it when they sort of like just expand the universe a little bit. They just tell a bigger story that lives in that same world.
And Tron is a huge world. So much can happen. And I like how they're doing it. Because with Tron Legacy, love that. I love that they're doing the Uprising, which tells the story between what happened between first Tron and Tron Legacy. And then, have you seen the 10-minute teaser for the next Tron?
No.
Oh my God, it's so awesome.
That's the Flynn Lives, right?
Yeah, that's the yes, it's amazing. And so they're building a perfect universe for this series, and I cannot be more excited.
Yeah, I like Tron Legacy a lot.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. I liked everything about that.
No, I didn't see it in 3D. Sorry.
Remember, Jay, it's not easy to get to that 3D theater here.
There's one straight down the street, and you didn't have to worry about how
straight down the street.
They're straight down the street.
Straight down the street.
Yeah. There's an IMAX 3D IMAX right next to IKEA.
30 minutes away.
Whatever. How long did we drive to go to the IMAX when we were in Virginia?
I don't know.
30 minutes away.
Well, I was living in the middle of a cornfield at the time, so I didn't really have the option. That's my excuse.
You're just squatting in a cornfield.
Pretty much.
Was it like a corn maze?
I've
always been intrigued by that.
She's the children of the corn.
I just want to go to a corn maze and really see if I can get or crop circles. Ooh, do you know about those?
I haven't seen any personally, but
damn it.
She can't tell you because she'll get arrested.
Nobody wants to go to Indiana, not even aliens.
Yeah.
But there's
Indiana, I'm surprised. Iowa, I would have been like, yeah, I can understand that. But, come on, Indiana. Indiana has the Hoosiers, right?
I don't want to talk about the Hoosiers today.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I seen your post. You're like, you're letting me down.
They just lost their first game of the season right before we started today. Gosh. It was awful to unranked Butler, so I don't even want to talk about them.
You're a Bobby Knight fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could recognize him on TV by the time I was like 1.5.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
He's the coach for
general.
Indiana. He led his team through fear and intimidation. He was although you ever watch ESPN when they show the guy, the old basketball coach, like just losing his shit and throwing chairs and getting crazy? That's Bobby Knight.
I have not watched ESPN.
Yeah, all right.
I'm sorry. That is just not my thing. But I'm very excited that ESPN I will give them props. They were one of the first cable channels to embrace 3D, and they do 3D broadcasting of all sports games. Football is filmed in 3D, native 3D. It's not conversion shit. And there's a 3D channel.
Yeah.
You can watch this in 3D.
How many 3D football games have you watched?
Well, as soon as I get our new TV, I'll check it out. I won't watch them forever, but I would let down Hannah Montana if I didn't watch football. Long story. Anyway.
I'm just hassling you, man.
Yeah. But I will check it out. I'm excited about it. Speaking of 3D, and since I'm from Texas, I want to talk about this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they've been talking about doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 3D for a long time. I've been pushing for this for a long time as well. Well, finally it's out. It hits theaters January 4th, and it's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's just Texas Chainsaw 3D. The trailers are all over TV and internet and stuff. Have y'all seen them yet? Mm-hmm. What do y'all think?
I think it looks good. It's fun. I mean,
did you see the remakes?
Was the one with Jessica Biel?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, she was
I
in
saw
that.
What'd you think?
I mean, it's not like the most intelligent plot line I've ever
Texas
seen.
Chainsaw Massacre. They're Texans,
but it was
so you
fun.
can't have that deep of a plot line.
I didn't care for the remakes because it was just they take everything that is great about the original and they just make it look expensive. But this movie, on the other hand, I'd be willing to give a shot because it's not a remake. It is
continuation.
It tells a bigger story. Again, it lives in the same world. It doesn't reboot, retool, relaunch. It just moves into that space and tells another story, which I love that.
There was a movie that just came out that said they were going to do that, and I saw it, and it was just the same damn movie. What was the last movie?
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I think we saw it.
I think we did see it together.
Yeah, shit, I remember that right because it was supposed to be a
reboot.
Oh, it was The Thing.
Oh, that
you want to say it was The Thing that was supposed to tell the prequel story of The Thing, which was just the same movie over again.
Yeah,
and not as good.
Not as good.
The original is one of the best movies ever.
It is amazing. Yes, I agree.
And although I did like that aspect of it where they sort of like show these little scenes about how things in the first movie happened, but ultimately it was just the same movie. It was like beat for beat the same movie as the John Carpenter original. Not and at the same time it dresses itself up as like a prequel telling a different story. Mm-hmm. It just told the same story. So apparently you had like one group of people who were a bunch of dummies and then another group of people who were a bunch of dummies in exactly the same way.
That sounds like every horror movie remake.
Yeah.
Because like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Horrible.
Yeah, why?
You see it?
No.
You're not missing anything.
Not worth it.
Oh my God, it was bad.
Yeah, I really had hopes for that because I like Jackie Earle Haley, and I thought he'd be great as Freddy Krueger. I thought he'd be awesome, and he was good. He was the best part of it, but he couldn't save it. It was just crappy. And they kind of do this thing where I hate when they do this. Like, remember in the old original movies, like Freddy Krueger, he was just bad. He was just. Mm-hmm. He was just like evil. He was bad. It was very clear cut. In this one, it's like, oh no, he was misunderstood. He was framed. He was, they paint the bad guys in these sympathetic lights, and I'm just
I always
confused.
I always like people who are Nightmare on Elm Street fans of the original or the remake, and they're just like, Freddy Krueger's so much better than Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees, and they'll go on their rampage because the best line that you can ever tell them is, yes, but he's still a pedophile.
Yeah. Just like, I mean, but that's part of what made him an evil bad guy, right? I mean, right? He's not supposed to be sympathetic.
What I hated about the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, we'll get back on Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a minute, was the fact that they did exactly what you were saying earlier, where they took the iconic and best parts of the film and recreate it, but they didn't try to make it modernized or flashier. They just destroyed them. Like the scene when Nancy's in the bathtub and the glove comes up out of on the remake, they do that, but it's so poorly done because on the original, you have perfect screenshots of like looking underwater through the hole of the tub. You don't get any of this awesome camera angles and imaginative stuff. It's just like, there's the hand. Oh.
Well, I think that's kind of how I felt about the remake of The Thing. Well, not the remake, the prequel to The Thing.
Yeah.
Is the original had such inventive props and stuff. The new one was all CGI.
Yeah.
And I hated that. I love
the So the John Carpenter used all the Rick Baker practical effects.
Yeah.
Whereas in the new one they're like, oh, CGI it, which it never looks as good. It never like you. There's a value to practical effects that CGI, just as good as CGI can be, sometimes you just got to have those practical effects, otherwise it looks cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just when you're not going to use the practical effects, they can make it look good if they just put the time into it. It seems like those moments are rushed moments, are not, they're just like, here's a chunk of money, use it, and then the project is not nurtured like it was when John Carpenter made The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, okay, we do it, okay, we have a deadline, all right, it's done, and they never really nurture it and build it so it will look good, because there are films that have hardcore CGI in it that you never know until you read about it and you're like, oh, that wasn't real, what the fuck.
Yeah.
So I mean, it can be done, it's just people get lazy with it.
I always think of speaking of like practical effects and CGI, I always thought the movie that did that best was Hellboy. The Hellboy movies, the Guillermo del Toro films, I love those, and that is like this perfect blend of practical and CGI. It all looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was Rick Baker too, again, so he's at the top of his game. But they could have gone and done, like they wanted to go all CGI, but somebody very correctly made the decision, like, no, we have to have some degree of practical effects in here.
Well, like when we went to go see the making of Forbidden Planet and Forbidden Planet, just, what was it, last weekend?
Yeah.
And the special effects in that, how they built the animation around the spaceship and the backgrounds and stuff was really fascinating.
Yeah, that was pretty neat, the way they used the matte painting.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And before the movie, they did a little presentation about like how they did the matte paintings, and these were like matte painting scenes, and as we watched the film, when we got to those scenes, if you really look close, you could see the seams, and it was funny because
pause. This is the moment. Oh, you can tell that the weapons in the high frame rate are.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
But if you look really close, you can see the seams between the matte painting and the set. And
that film was done in 53?
I know. But it still looked great. I mean, it still looked really, really well. It still looked really good, and I don't know, it's just kind of neat. But like I said, you had to look really, really close, and even then, it wasn't like this, straight line demarcation. It was, this fuzziness on the edges, and
yeah,
I don't know, that was kind of neat.
It's pretty awesome. And then we got to meet Robbie.
Yeah.
Yay. Anyway, so back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We just looped that one around. I'm excited about it. I did like both of the remakes, the beginning and the remake. I thought they were both really well done. I thought the sound mapping in that film was really, really good. And I look forward to this one. It doesn't look as good as the remakes, but we finally get Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 3D, and that's the only Michael Myers and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface are the only two popular icons that were not ever done in 3D. So now we all have to wait for Halloween to be in 3D. It will happen.
I know it's not on your list, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre made me think of it. But have you seen the trailers for Evil Dead? Speaking of remakes.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
They're remaking that?
Yeah, I know.
There's going to be a woman lead in this one.
The role, the I don't know if the name is going to be the same, but the role of Ash will be a woman, this girl, and it's the young girl who's the redhead from that show Suburbia.
Oh,
the trailer. I mean,
it's not Suburbia. Is it?
Suburgatory.
Suburgatory. Yeah. That's Suburgatory.
It looks awesome.
And yeah, it looks really good. And the early talk is that it's too scary, which I'm like, there's no such thing.
There is no such thing, especially if they go over the top with this movie like that. Oh, I'd just be so happy.
Yeah.
Because
I know. I want it to be good. I want it to be good so badly. I want it to be good.
The trailer looks amazing. I remember when I first watched it, when it first rolled out, the day that it came out, I was watching it, and I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just over the top awesome.
And you're talking about the Red Band trailer,
Yeah,
right?
the Red Band.
And it's a Red Band trailer, not because like anybody drops any F-bombs or says anything that can't be on television. It's because it's really gruesome and gross and all the stuff that happens.
Sounds good.
It is really
Yeah, right.
You take the best parts that you liked of Cabin in the Woods, just those effects, and apply that to a gory modern version of Evil Dead, and that's the mixture that the trailer is.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome. But minus the unicorns and all.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm excited about that. Johnny Depp has been working on this film for a long time, and there's been getting the mixed reviews from people just about the idea. We talked about it on the show before. We're talking about the Lone Ranger, which is going to be hitting theaters soon. Did I put the date? I did not. But it's going to be hitting the theaters somewhat soon. And we talked about it before, and they were linking the silver bullets. There was an issue they were going over budget because there was going to be werewolves in the film, and the studios pulled back and said, you're going over budget, so they cut the werewolves out. So it's no longer going to have that supernatural element to it, as far as we know.
Have you watched the trailer?
I have not watched the trailer yet.
The trailer hints at some supernatural elements, and like everything about this movie has been one red flag after another.
Right.
It's been because they had to like pare the script down, and then it's had massive reshoots, and it's all because there was like this plot line about that had like a supernatural element to it regarding werewolves, which had to get cut and redone and rewritten and reshot. And the trailer looks okay. The trailer hints at like the supernatural element in that the the Lone Ranger story, right? Yeah. All right. So he was a Texas Ranger. He goes out to go catch these bad guys. They get ambushed. They get betrayed, and everybody's thought to be dead except this one guy played by Armie Hammer, who somehow survives.
Not related to Arm & Hammer.
Right. And, yeah, right.
Sorry.
No, I think that every time I hear his name. But the Tonto role is played by Johnny Depp, and he's not just an Indian, he's like an Indian spirit walker, shaman. So there's, some mystical aspects there in that. In the trailer they say that he's like, why do I got dirt all over me? And he's like, because you were dead, I buried you. And so now he's alive again. So they hint at some supernatural forces, but then that's all in the midst of like action sequences and train crashes and stuff blowing up.
But this story is going to be this remake, the modern version of it or whatever, is told from the story of Tonto. Because before, like the series, I forget, it wasn't Tonto doing the narration.
There was no narration.
That's what I'm saying. Is like it was just straightforward. We were watching as everything unfolded. This here, it starts off as Tonto building the legend and telling the story of the Lone Ranger.
And we'll see. I mean, I it's like one of those things. Like I want it to be good, but like I said, it's got a lot of red flags.
It's going to be in 3D. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, and all those 3D effects are going to be
gimmicky
stuff coming at you. Yeah,
I'm excited about that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the gimmick side of 3D. I don't know why everybody complains about it. Don't you? When you go see a 3D movie, don't you want shit to
I expect
fly?
things to come in my face.
That's what you want.
Remember that 3D movie that was trying to like revive 3D? It was called Coming at You.
Yes, and we interviewed the director, actor, and person who did that.
Yeah,
awesome.
That was like somebody who knew what movie they were making.
Yes, and that's all they care about. I love it. It's awesome.
You got me behind you. I gotta go.
What? Bob is leaving. What? All right, it's just you and I now.
Okay.
So we can talk trash about the Man of Steel.
I'm okay with that.
I don't want to proceed without, but I guess we will. Well, since he hasn't watched The Talking Dead yet, finished it, we can talk about it.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about it. Oh, wait. People just run out of the room now. We know how to clear the party, don't we? Damn. Anyway.
Is it just us?
It's just us now. So, what do you think?
I loved it. I didn't expect all the changes. And, have you read the comic, right?
No.
Oh. Well, that group that comes into the prison at the end, the last episode, they had been in the comic like since the beginning. So that was really interesting to see them bring that group into the show.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. So I think that'll be another interesting twist. And then Rick going a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
I think it's really that moment there. Everybody was really mixed about it. And the moment we're talking about is when she has her baby, but they're under a zombie attack, and they have to give her a C-section right there in the prison, and her son has to shoot her, and was really dramatic and really, I think it was done very well. But it was funny on the real world side of it. Everybody's like, I hated her anyway. Good riddance. But I think it set up a really good plot shift in it with him going crazy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's got to be so mixed up. He never settled things with Lori before she died, and he's just got, I'm sure, tons of guilt weighing on him that he doesn't know how to deal with. And now he's got a baby without a mother, doesn't know how to raise a baby by himself in a post-apocalyptic zombie world. I mean, what would you do? Would you allow the baby to be born?
You have to.
Why?
Because I don't know. Personally, I don't like that idea of I gotta kill him because he's just gonna suffer in a harsh world anyway. That's stupid. You have to.
Are you building that idea on the environment we live in now, or within an environment that are so harsh that you don't even know what tomorrow's going to bring in terms of...
That's right. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, so that's why everybody has to have a chance. Yeah, you got to. I mean, you got to think. You got to hope for a better tomorrow. You have to do that.
We don't even do that today.
I do.
What about you?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think you have to let the baby continue on. I mean, I don't know. I just can't even imagine killing a baby anyway, but you got to give it a chance. I mean, they're in a pretty safe place anyway, so far.
Not until the governor gets them, which is happening.
That is true. That's a whole other story.
I
hate that girl too, Andrea.
Why?
Oh, she's only on the show to make bad decisions. That's her only role. She is worthless.
Well, I mean,
I guess that keeps the plot going, but
yeah. What are you gonna say?
I've been rereading the comics, and it's funny. Somehow I remember in the comics that Lori was always dead. And I always remember Shane as always being out of the picture, and Shane goes early, and then Lori goes later, but she's in it more than I remembered, and I don't know, and then I don't know. I think it was great that the show took out Lori and Dale and T-Dog, like nobody's safe. You have to sort of feel because I think that builds not necessarily empathy, but it makes you feel like it builds drama. Certainly, it builds tension because you think oh my god, your favorite character, people you sort of have an emotional investment in, they could go at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, the only guy I think that they would definitely keep is Rick. At this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really. I'm upset that we have to wait till February. So.
Yeah, that was a really good show, man. It was really a good season. And
have you? Before I talk about this, have you seen the pit fight?
The pit fight.
The with the zombies and the two.
Oh yeah. I've seen everything.
Oh, you're caught up. I didn't know you were caught up. What'd y'all think of that? I mean, in terms of
it was all right. And it was interesting.
I'm saying for the plot. She's having issues with it. Kind of internally, it's kind of like this is barbaric and this is not the way that a society should be built. Do you agree with that, or you think it's cool for them to have an outlet like that? That they're just a modern form of boxing?
Yeah, I don't know, man. The whole point with Woodbury is like something's supposed to seem off, and that's just one of the things that seems off.
But would it really be off? I mean, would that? I mean, because if you look at modern sports, not to make any political statement, boxing, we always have this within us, this insider. Sci-fi movies do it all the time, but we always joke about if we took this sport and added this physical content to it, it would be so much better. Like if we took golf and put football players in it, we make jokes about that. So in a world where everything is chaos, would adding the potential of zombies being able to bite you if you get knocked out of the certain, is that acceptable in that society, or is that really just crazy?
That's a great question. It seems like just another way for the governor to, I don't know, not necessarily exercise his control, but he just controls the entire environment of Woodbury, and that just seems like another way that he, I don't even know how to say it, but he has his finger in everything. And I think that the zombie fight just kind of keeps the outside world maybe in their minds.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Kind of like what he said about the aquarium of heads.
What did he say about that?
He said he keeps them so he can be reminded of what's going on.
I mean, it's so safe there.
Yeah. So
they're kind of deluded.
Are you happy that you don't know his motive? I mean, so far we don't know why he's doing this, other than his love for his daughter. But that's such a shallow.
He's
statement.
Clearly a megalomaniac. I mean, that's the personality.
I wouldn't say clearly. I mean,
that was kind of the only reason I had come up with too. Is just that he's gotten a taste of power, and
he's just trying to run with it.
Stop himself.
Yeah, I don't. Like, as far as the bigger issue of like, is it right for them to have like these zombie pit fights, even if it is rigged, even if it is staged, that idea of blood sport. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. And like, this is coming from a guy, like, I'm a big hockey fan. Hockey's like the only sport where fighting is acceptable.
And if you put zombies in there, that would even
then it'd be right. But that doesn't mean it's okay. Is that, I don't know. It's a funny thing. Like, baseball guys get in fights, and then like there isn't like, you ever watch baseball where there's like two guys getting a fight in baseball, and then what happens is like it's a bench clearing brawl, right? Poof, everybody gets in. But then in hockey, two guys get in a fight, they let two dudes, right? They let them settle it. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's there's something to that, because in baseball, you're not skating around at 15, 20 miles an hour with the potential to really hurt somebody with a stick in your hand. And so maybe you do need to let some guys settle it every once in a while. But two guys settling it is different than two guys settling it for the enjoyment of others, where you throw in like this crazy zombie element. Like, I don't know. I'm not a...
Well, the reason I set this up or asked those questions is because I'm setting up a segue. And you'll be happy. The reason I threw the moral question in there is because right now, a parent group, the PTC, has a problem with The Walking Dead because of its PG-14 rating, saying it's too graphic and too gory for kids of the age of 14.
Simply don't watch it. I think that you can't with all the channels that are available and all the content that's on television now and all the content that's on the internet, that's in the movie theaters, on the radio, it's in television. You can't complain and say that, oh my God, my 14-year-old could see this and I think it's inappropriate. That is just...
But that's the whole purpose of the PTC, the Parent Television Counter, or whatever it's...
Fine, then you create a new rating. It's TV 16 or TV 18, whatever.
Well, they said it's...
You simply don't watch it.
But that's not the way our world works.
Well, that's true.
So do you think they... outside, and I agree with you if you don't, but outside of that, do you think they have a valid point? Say if you had a 14-year-old, would you want them... Do you think that rating would be suitable? Because... I'm going to play the devil's advocate. They put those ratings on there so parents who are busy, work 2 jobs or whatever it may be, can look at a TV rating and go, okay, no, you can't watch that. So if you had a kid, do you think they have a valid point with this show, or do you think they're just trying to make a fundraiser or whatever, get attention for their group?
I don't know. I was watching stuff like that when I was 14, and I don't feel like I'm psychologically damaged.
You're hanging out with us. You are hanging out with us. There's definitely something wrong.
And I don't necessarily think it's that scary. It is gory, but I don't know. I don't think it's damaging.
Yeah. I don't know. For the first time this last episode, I got my tablet out and did the AMC Walking Dead sync, so you can interact with, they do questions and they do, gory screen grabs and stuff like that.
How'd that go?
It was actually really fun. I mean, I enjoyed it because you get to vote like when on the I think it was the last episode when the new characters came in and they were deciding whether to take her with them to in the prison or leave them behind or kill them. A survey popped up on my tablet, said, would you take her, would you kill her, or would you leave her? And you could vote, and everybody else is voting, and you could see, and everybody said kill her. And when on the scene where the woman shoved the sword through the head, it popped up on my screen, said gory screen grab, and you had that photo of it. So it was fun in that sense. But the only thing that I didn't enjoy, and I'm glad they put they have a timer countdown for the next update on the tablet. I felt that before I realized how everything works, it was the first time I did it, that I was engaging the tablet more than engaging the show. But when I got in the flow of it, everything was, the balance was out. So I think they still need to work on that to make it where it doesn't take away your engagement of the show. I mean, it felt nice to be able to interact with other viewers as it was happening, but it still needs a little bit of work. It's still fun. I like it. Yeah.
I think The Walking Dead is one of the most violent and brutal shows on television right now. And if you have a problem with it, simply don't watch it. If you have a problem with how it's evaluated as far as like ratings go, it's at the high end of the rating system as it is, then adjust the rating system. Don't want the show to change.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. But there's another series that only did the pilot, and I wish it would have continued, was Mockingbird Lane, which is the modern remake of The Munsters.
I still haven't seen that yet. It's
on Zombie Popcorn. You can go watch it now on Zombie Popcorn. I put up the first episode on there. And
the only episode.
They pulled it. But it's absolutely phenomenal. It was. I enjoyed it. It was campy where it needed to be, and it was just insane. I enjoyed it. I mean, the fact, and the reason they stopped it because they were saying it was just it dealt with death the wrong ways. Why they said they pulled.
So I like Izzard too. I think
Eddie Izzard is Grandpa Munster in this film or in this series. But the awesome thing is the first episode. What is his name? The kid.
Eddie Munster.
Eddie Munster. I don't know why I just drew a blank on his name. He doesn't know he's a werewolf. And so the episode starts up where they're out in the woods. There's a teepee that's kind of torn up, and there's bodies laying around. And Eddie stands up from the bush completely nude. and the monsters, his family, told him that there was a small bear attack that killed all the other Boy Scouts and stuff. And so the first episode was him finding out who he was and stuff, and it was really, really well done. Very dark sense of humor, and it sucks that they got rid of it because I would have really, I think I would have enjoyed that series.
But did they get rid of it because I thought it was too dark, too black?
That's what they said.
Bloody?
They said one of the official statements was that that the people didn't accept the way death was handled, and and I thought it was great.
I think something as inevitable as death, like you just kind of got to have a sense of humor about it.
I mean, down the street they execute people.
Right. Fun fact.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. But with that said, there's a new TV series coming on A&E, The Bates Motel.
Yeah, is it like the Bates Motel where strange passersby check in, but they don't check out, and then hilarity ensues?
No, maybe, but it's the story of young Norman Bates as a child.
Oh man, it's got to be really fucking twisted. That's that's the show I want to see.
Yes, I hope it's so fucking twisted.
You want to see like his mom, like I don't know, like. Norman, you didn't do the dishes and come out back and get beat with a switch and go pick up dead bodies, or I don't know, something crazy, like, because obviously Norman Bates is mentally disturbed. And
hopefully we can find out how he got that way. And we have one good thing on our side with this. It's on A&E. The Mockingbird Lane was on NBC, so that's why they pulled it. But A&E is on the same playing field as AMC, and they're both competing for, the next best show. I mean, AMC has The Walking Dead now, and if Bates Motel can compete with that, I think we'll see some really dark shit, and I think it has potential to be a good series.
The previews make it look like it has some pretty brutal stuff on it. I mean, there's one scene where you see feet. You can't see the rest of the body, but it's a body that's clearly hanging from something, and you can see the feet, and they're on fire. Another one,
and that's always fun.
Yeah,
good times.
There's another one where somebody's handcuffed to the bottom side of a sink. So it's
that's the promo poster. You just see that you see from like the mid arm up to the sink, and that's all you see.
Yeah,
and the photo is really gritty, and it should.
That's a really interesting idea because you think about it, right? Like the Norman Bates as a thinking in broader strokes, like Norman Bates. That girl in the shower is not the first time he killed anybody.
Yeah, no, because it was so easy. He was just like, okay.
That's not the first. That wasn't his, first venture into homicide. It's just like, that's a very interesting concept, right? Because like Psycho, you only see like this much.
Yeah. And then it goes back to what we were talking about, how they take a franchise or take a series and build a franchise.
Yeah.
Expand that environment. I think this series has great potential.
That would be good. It really has to be done in that Hitchcock style, though, which it sounds like it is, where you don't have to see everything, right? Hitchcock was so brilliant in that he knew all the crap you could think of in your head is more scary than anything he can show you.
Yeah.
And so he knew that, and that was his sort of directorial style, and if the show sort of maintains that, then that would be good, and that would be great because then you could show it on television. Like, we didn't show that person getting decapitated; you just thought you saw it.
Yeah, I mean, they could totally do it. And did you watch the featurette? It's just, it has so much potential.
That does have a lot of potential.
I'll be interested to see how that kid does too. It's the kid from the Willy Wonka movie with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
So he's a British kid, and I just picture him as prepubescent and sweet and eating candy. So
he has that little evil sparkle in his eye now. That's awesome.
Has anybody seen the Hitchcock movie?
No.
Hitchcock?
I heard it was awful.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh no. God, I love, like, Helen Mirren's in it, plays his wife,
good, yeah.
and then Anthony Hopkins looks just like Alfred Hitchcock. Actually, he looks a little thinner. Like, I think Alfred Hitchcock may have been like fatter, but I think Anthony Hopkins looks great as Hitchcock.
Good, yeah. I just heard it was really slow. They make him out to be a total egomaniac, and they skip over too much. I haven't seen it. That was just a review.
Yeah. Would you go see it?
At the Dollar Theater, sure.
It gets a
Is there a Dollar Theater here?
Up where I live, there's like a $2 theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I found a new theater up the street today when we were out scouting. But not the Hobbit's playing there, but I don't want to see it there because it looks like a hippie theater. But that's another story.
It was a hippie theater?
Oh my God,
Welcome to California.
I love this place, but that theater was really bad. But anyway, so since you're here and you are the superhero Man of Steel, which I put in the notes, sounds like a porno movie. Not just any porn movie, but a gay porn movie.
I'm sure somebody's making that movie right now.
I think that movie's been made, I'm sure. It's coming out, and it's going to hit the theaters June 14th of 2013. And it will be in IMAX 3D.
This is a weird segue bit. Like, and I'm only marginally aware of this because that's the kind of nerd I am. But there's like some dude who has his whole career. He's like a director or something, and his whole career is directing like these softcore porn like variations of like superhero movies. He's got like
wait. The reason Bob knows this is because he actually has the collection.
Yeah, no, I don't. But it's one of those things where it's like, haha, I don't really want to see that. And I'm like, no, secretly I kind of do. But this dude has built his whole career.
She just scooted away from me. She's like,
yeah. His whole career is built on like these like Spice Channel porn variations of like Batman and Spider-Man and the Avengers movies and everything. So I'm sure he's working on the Man of Steel movie, right? Like we joke, we're like, haha, it does, and I'm like, no, this guy, I bet, is working on it right now.
If 3D Movie Man was here, he would probably already have it.
Yeah.
We have the guy. He's into 3D movies. He listens to us every once in a while. And the movie that we mentioned before is Coming at You. There's a porn version of that, and he has that. When we were talking about the real movie, because we interviewed the director and everything. He's like, no, I haven't. I'm like, no. Sends us the links in the chat room because we were doing a live show. But it was anyway. Going back to Man of Steel, the superhero movie, not the
right
softcore porn that you have in your collection. What do you think?
I think the trailer gives me goosebumps, man. I think it's going to be the big blue done right. Shut up, man! Come on, don't hassle me.
Sorry. It's the vodka getting to me now.
Yeah. No, I think it looks great. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be awesome. I like Zack Snyder as a director. I think Henry Cavill is a good choice. It's got Amy Adams as Lois Lane. She can do no wrong in my book.
Do you think it's going to be as good as the original Superman?
You mean the Dick Donner movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be better. Because here's the thing. I think the Richard Donner film is I love it. But I love it warts and all, and
he made the world go backwards.
Right. yeah. So there's that, and I thought that Gene Hackman is Lex Luthor. As good as he was doing the best with what he had, like Miss Tessbacher and his bumbling sidekick Otis. Like I said, I love that movie, but I love it warts and all, and I think that the Zack Snyder movie will be a more serious look at the character and the genre. I think he's going to handle it. There's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be that comedic element to it, which is what prior to Bryan Singer's The X-Men. Every kind of look at that comic book superhero genre, they had to throw in this comic element. They felt that they had to do that because it came from comic books, right? And so Bryan Singer changed all that, and I think that that this Zack Snyder movie will treat the material seriously and not have that. They're not gonna feel the need to put comedy where it doesn't need to be.
So this story here has his adoptive parents as main characters. So
Kevin Costner and Diane Lane.
Yeah. So this is going to take the same path as the original, right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because his mom, Pa Kent, in the Richard Donner film were only marginal characters at best. You know, they're only in it for a few minutes, and then it's most of him moving to Metropolis and becoming Superman, and I really think that this movie will deal with, like, I don't know, man. I like. I'm not a religious person at all, but I really love Superman because it's this idea like he is a god, right? He can do anything. He hears everything. He knows it's all. He know if you're Superman, right? You hear everything, right? And you can be anywhere at any time, right? So if anybody, if a bus crashes, if a bus goes off a cliff, then Superman's aware of it. He could save it, only he has to choose not to. And I think that's an interesting idea. And even in the new trailer, they show a scene where a young Clark Kent saves a bus, but people realize that it's him. His identity is exposed, and Kevin Costner's Pa Kent is like, "Oh well, what were you thinking? That you have to keep this a secret." And he says, "Well, what was I supposed to do? Let them die?" And he's like, "Well, maybe." And there's a scene where he's overwhelmed with, like, a young Clark Kent is overwhelmed with the knowledge of all the stuff that's happening around him because he can hear everything. And Diane Lane is Ma Kent is like, she's like trying to coach him through tuning it out. She's trying to this is, just pretend you're somewhere else, just tune it all out. And I really think that, as a character, Superman is great because he has all this unlimited power and unlimited potential, but all he really wants to be is just a regular guy. That's all he wants to do. Like, he's one of those characters where Superman is his real identity and Clark Kent is, or no, it's the other way around. Clark Kent is his real identity and Superman is his secret identity. Whereas if you take somebody like Batman is his real identity. Bruce Wayne is the costume.
His mask,
yeah. So I think that this movie will be, the Big Blue Boy Scout done right. I have an opinion about this.
Well,
I haven't thought about that at all.
So what do you think?
I honestly could not care less.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, yeah, and then this, and then this. You're like, oh my god,
what did I sign up for?
Let it go.
I didn't like the old ones.
Even the one with Richard Pryor?
Oh, that was the worst.
I was being whatever.
I love Superman.
You couldn't tell, could you?
No.
You couldn't.
I really like it, man. Did you like the Zack Snyder movie? Because no, Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer did the Superman film, the Return of Superman, the one with Brandon Routh and the newest one.
I didn't see it.
You didn't really?
No, because I had no interest, so I didn't bother. But
it gets a solid.
I should give it a chance.
No, that's cool. I mean, like I said, not everything is not all things to all people, but I really liked it a lot. I thought it was really, really good. And Kate Bosworth was Lois Lane, and
oh yeah.
Now she's trying to pretend to be interested.
Oh yeah,
I remember now.
Oh yeah, that movie. No, it was great. Like there's a scene in the movie where
he won't stop.
He flies up into space, and he's just like sort of in the atmosphere, and he stops in a moment, and he's like soaking in all of the sounds. And
didn't he do that in the video game too?
No.
No, it's on the trailer for the Marvel Universe. Or
Marvel,
DC,
Superman
DC.
is DC.
Yeah, that's what I meant. DC.
It might be. I mean, it might be. But like, he's up in the atmosphere and he hears everything. Like every sound, everything that's happening on the planet. He can hear it all. And then like he soaks it all in for a few minutes. And then it's like, pew, and then he's down on the planet and he's like, do, going here and there and like stopping things and saving people and doing things. And how does somebody with that unlimited potential, how do they make those decisions? Because that, at the end of the day, he's just a guy, and so he has to make all.
Well, at the end of the day, if he's just a guy, he's probably going, "Well, she's hot, so I'm going to save her."
Maybe
it's only women that he's saving.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it a cool story for me, I guess.
But that's what Jesus does, and you don't care about Jesus.
I do, and here's why. Did you ever see the Scorsese film, The Last Temptation of Christ?
No.
Holy shit, is that good? Right? That was a great movie. But at the end of the movie, when Christ is on the cross, he has this fantasy, and the Christian right got all upset over this movie, but he has this fantasy that he's on the cross, he's dying, he's dying on the cross, and then he has this fantasy that he comes down off the cross, and then he has sex with Mary Magdalene at the foot of the cross, but she would have been his wife, right? They would have been a couple in real life, and all he really wanted to do was be this regular guy and be a regular person, live a regular life, and kind
of like the life of Brian.
Instead, yeah, I know, right? Instead, he's has to be the son of God, and that movie got so many people upset. I remember when it came out, it's a great movie, and it deals with this idea. Like, I mean, what if you had all of that unlimited power that you didn't ask for it, you didn't want it, you didn't ask for it. It's not something you chose. It just was put on you, and really, that may not be the end all and be all of everything. Maybe it's better. And back to Tolkien, remember when Bilbo Baggins says it's no bad thing to live a simple life?
Truer words have never been spoken.
Oh my God. You guys. See what happens. I have like 2 months to think of shit. I was
that's why we try to do the show as much as possible.
Goes in there and it starts running around and I can't get it out.
It's just let it go. Okay, we're moving on now. Brace yourselves. Universal Monsters. Paul, our other co-host, is huge into Universal Monsters. You're doing it again? That means we have to talk about the Talking Dead again. We got to slow him down. But anyway, are you a fan of the Universal Monsters? Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, all that? Were you a fan of The Mummy?
The real old one?
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't seen that in years, but I liked it. Yeah.
Well, they're going to be doing a reboot on it, and not the reboot that Brandon Fraser did with The Mummy, because it's no
crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're actually doing a remake of the horror classic, and what scares me about it is the director said that it was going to be more of a modern day version of what would happen if we came across a mummy in our world today. I don't know. Anytime I hear a remake of a classic movie and they use that tagline, we're just going to make it in today's world, it always scares me.
I mean, does that just mean
there's going to be a Brandon Fraser movie?
And, yeah, it's just...
I mean, it's like if in today's environment, if you felt threatened by a mummy, we have flamethrowers, we have, we have things that we could just get rid. He's flammable. He's dusty. I mean, come on. So I'm really concerned about it. I don't want it to become like the Night in the Museum type movie, With.
But why not?
Oh, maybe I do. I don't know. You tell me. Welcome back, Bob.
Don't worry. He'll fix it in post.
No, I won't.
He doesn't do anything.
We're talking about the remake of The Mummy, the classic, not the Brendan Fraser. And I was talking about how that the director said that he's going to do it in modern times, had the setting in the modern times, and it just scares me because, with today's technology, such as fire, it's not going to be much of a movie.
Well, the original Mummy, I mean, they had fire then.
No, I know. I was just.
But I mean, I don't know. It's a. You could tell another Mummy story.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser did it 4 times now.
Yeah, yeah.
And none of them were good.
The first one was fun.
Oh, now we have somebody else leaving.
Not just me.
You started this trip.
Yeah, I know.
So what do you think of the remake?
It has potential.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's.
Were you a fan of the original?
Yeah, it's very good. Man, that scene where they cut the guy's tongue out, that's awesome. It's great.
No. I bet you Paul is very upset about this.
Well, it's one of those things, like, I want it to be good, only I'm cynical enough to think that it won't be.
Well, they've never proven us wrong. Well, they have a couple of times. I don't know. So, they're in the works of doing that.
Yeah, Hollywood has never failed to disappoint.
That is true. And speaking of being disappointed, well, let's stretch out this Mummy talk until she gets back so we can reach. I don't know. That's all I have to say about it. I'm just really concerned about.
I mean, we don't know who stars or.
Not yet. No, we know who is directing it. Lynn Wiseman.
And
he did the Garbage Pail movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
just kidding.
The Garbage Pail movie. Yeah, what would happen came across Mummy in a modern world? It's pretty fast. But that's kind of the thing with the Mummy movie in general is that he's like this ancient guy that wakes up in the modern world.
But the modern world in the original was way long time ago.
No, it wasn't. It was less than 100 years ago. So considering he was buried for thousands,
it's in black and white. It's a long time.
Yeah, I know, black and white. Oh my God.
Oh, speaking of, they're going to in February release season 1 and season 2 of The Walking Dead in black and white,
which is a great idea.
Well, they did a test study of it last year.
Yeah, I didn't see those episodes that were in black and white, but I heard it's good.
Yeah,
but that was probably a Darabont thing.
But speaking of Hollywood letting us down, this next movie that is going to be released January 11th of 2013, which I'm really don't understand. But Hansel and Gretel, witch hunters. What?
I hadn't even heard of that until I saw it in your notes, and I watched the preview, and I thought it looked awesome.
You think it looks good?
Yeah.
It definitely has potential to be that cheese fest.
Yeah.
But it has Hawkeye.
Yeah. I think, I saw a trailer for this movie. I swear to God, it must have been 6-8 months ago.
Right.
I saw a trailer for this film, and I remember thinking, because it was either just before Avengers came out or slightly after, and I think that this movie was in the can before Avengers.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was done and ready to go before Avengers, but and I love Jeremy Renner. I thought he was great, and I thought he was great in the war movie. What was that? What was that called? Hurt Locker. And I loved him as Hawkeye. And I heard I haven't seen it, but I've heard he's really good in the Bourne movie.
Yeah.
So he's great.
He's trying to get himself out of that image because he is one of those people we were talking about earlier that when you see him in movies, the only character you think about is the Avengers.
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily see him that way, but I saw the trailer, and I love Famke Janssen in it, right? I think she's great, and I think this is a movie that's like been ready to go for a long time, but
they're afraid to release it.
Yeah. I think that it was like, I don't know, man. Some of those movies, like, it's funny when you think about it. There's a lot of movies that get made that get delayed and released by like a year up to 2 years, sometimes even as long as 3 for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Like the release date they had for it suddenly somebody else comes out with a bigger movie and they delay it or they change it around. You know, like the release schedule is really kind of hinky.
Yeah.
And
well, because they don't want to compete with a bigger budget. They want to have the big seller for the weekend.
But when they keep delaying and delaying and delaying the release, like that's not a good sign.
It's like shelving albums in the music industry. It's just like kills the band.
Yeah. And, you know, it could be one of those things like they may have been paid not to release it when the Avengers came out because they didn't want it to be like, oh, yeah, the Avengers, that's that guy from Hansel and Gretel, and that movie sucked. And,
and it wouldn't surprise me if the studio said, no, here's money, wait until, you know.
I would bet that happens. I
mean, because the trailer does look fun. But
super fun.
But for the general public, if you're trying to sell a character... They're gonna go no. It's gonna tank in the box office. It's gonna be bad. It's just gonna be one of those little. I'll go see it for a quick laugh and then just so I can say I've seen it and then the end. But
I don't know. Maybe it'll be better than that. I want it to be good.
Good and fun are like two different things in my mind. I think this movie looks fun.
Yes. I'll probably go see it.
Did you watch the preview?
Yeah, I did. I've seen it. Like I said, I saw the trailer for that
that's right.
Like months ago. Like I thought this was old news, but now
it's resurfaced because it's getting closer to release date.
Yeah, that's not good.
I love the part when they have all that like razor wire set up and the witch flies
through it. Yeah,
yeah, that was great.
All right. Well, we're getting close to the end time. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll save it for next time, so we should probably wrap it up. I just wanted to talk about a quick thing. Just throw it out there. We don't need to discuss it. Top Gun 3D released February 8th.
I mean, I like 3D. I'm not gonna go pay to see.
It's not a new movie. It's just they just decided to do it after he died and they released it. Okay, and then we have Fox Cinema or Fox released their 3D lineup. We have Wolverine coming out in July 2026. We have X-Men Days of Future Past, which will be shot in 48 frames and in native 3D, coming out July 18th. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes coming out May 23rd, 2014. Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters coming out August 16, 2013.
I was really happy to see that.
And the Fantastic Four, March 6th,
see, not so much
2015.
The Wolverine movie, I love Hugh Jackman. He can, I'd go see him. And the X-Men movie, it's Bryan Singer back on the X-Men franchise, and it's Days of Future Past, which was a great X-Men story arc. It's one of like the real iconic ones. And what was the other last thing on there? It was
Sea of Monsters.
Yeah, I love the Percy Jackson movie. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm glad they're doing another one. That's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So I want to thank Rachel for coming in. I guess we'll try to record next week. It's our anniversary Friday, so Saturday we're going to be busy. So we may record on Sunday.
End of the world.
We may record on Sunday.
If the world,
but you're not going to be available then.
If the Earth keeps spinning.
Yeah,
that's right. That's a good point.
Well, we've done Judgment Day broadcasts before.
Right.
And if you missed them, go check out zombiepopcorn.com. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening. We're glad to be back, happy to be back. The rest of the shows will be on schedule in the near future. I'm putting the final touches at the Zombie Popcorn headquarters, and then we'll go from there. Have a good night.
Good night.